Rosalyn Masterson, the author of The Storm is Over, is here today to share with us her experience with the broken systems she was a part of on her journey. We will ask her questions about the church, the welfare system, the drug and alcohol treatment centers, and the penal system. Rara, we are grateful you are here with us today for our discussion on your chapter called Systems, Broken Systems.
Well, thank you and good morning, Sheila.
Good morning. All right. So my first question is, the first huge institution you encountered was the church. You say it steered you wrong from the time you were a little girl to the present moment. Tell us some of your thoughts and experiences as to why you say the church has steered you wrong.
Wow. Being the institution that it is, and ooh, well, I could talk for a while on this subject here, but my reality and my experience has been that, well, from an early age when I was first told about the fire and the brimstone, and then how I had ran, and then when I wanted to be a part of a church family, how I was ostracized, and when I wanted to talk about God and just wanting to pay God back for saving my life, it was not accepted. And so when I'm talking about just the wrongness, if you got the money, you can be in the church. You paying your tithes, you can be in the church. If you have talent, you can be in the church. But being from the streets and being from where I was not received well at that place. And when I say that place, it was more than one. Denver at one time was not so large, so it wasn't as large as it is now, but it is still like the church community is growing, but you still have them same behaviors. They want to know your educational background, your economical background. They look at what you drive and how well you speak. Me being grateful to be clean and sober and just loud, oh man, it was not received at all. So yes, it is a very broken system because drug addicts and addicts like myself, drunks, no, we were ostracized. We were ostracized, didn't have a vote. So it was just like, being the God, Gentiles to the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Those people that think they know everything, but, got to be aware the outside of the cup is clean, but the inside they dirty as filthy rags, like we all are.
Thank you, Rosalind. Rosalind, what do you think could make the church system a better place for incoming people who are seeking a relationship with God?
Well, Sheila, I'm going to tell you like this. When Jesus walked the earth, there was no cars, there was no internet, there was no buildings. The church, you are the church. So you had to go outside of them fine walls and them red carpets and them hard pews to attract the people. And Jesus did not discriminate. It didn't matter if you was from the White House, or if you come from the Poe House, or if you come from a gutter. When Jesus touched you, he had the ability to heal you if you received it, but you had to believe it. And so what will make the church better and different, and especially now with all of this COVID stuff going on, the churches is going to open and they need to let the outsiders like myself in. Because this is where it is needed mostly for the people that has all the suffering and this pain, because we've been ostracized. It's the little people that counts. We're like all children. We were the sheep, and when Jesus goes seeking after the sheep, he don't leave not one of us behind. Get on board, church folks.
Rosalind, are you still searching for that church where you can be seen as a precious human being and be accepted by church members for who you are and not what they want you to be?
Sheila, when God created us, no two people have the same thumbprint or the same DNA. We don't. He has this special, he touched us differently. And then the majority, we are what you would call the, how do I say this one? We are the misfits, the ones that the world don't want. And so, yes, my church would allow everybody in. I would not judge them, you know. And the reason I say that my church, because that's my next move, is because I'm going to have an organization that ministers to all walks of life. Not depending on where you're from. It has nothing to do with it. Because when you are displaying the love of Christ, when you have God in your life and in your heart, He receives everybody. Doesn't matter where you come from. So yes, it's necessary now. It's necessary because religion has messed it up and has taken this deal way too far. Whether you black, white, brown, or red, it doesn't matter. People are people, and God made people in His image.
Another system that has touched your life over and over again is the welfare or social services system. Tell us what you think was wrong with this system when you were a part of it.
Wow, what was wrong with the system when I was a part of the system? I think it was just too much leniency, and I truly believe that they did more enabling than they did helping. And because had I had the right people in my corner or helping me or encouraging me to move on and to better myself, I wouldn't have to have that expectation of once a month relying and depending on the check, the food stamps, or affordable housing. Well, it's called affordable housing today, but then it was Section 8 housing. And, just allowing women just to be who they were. But I also think it was set up because that's weird. Everything that is meant for people of color, wow, how gold comes back and bites you. So it's not just people of color that is receiving welfare or that's on welfare. It seems like all single women, if they see that they have an opportunity that they can get this financial support, of course they're going to have those children, and of course they're going to go there. But it's all people, all women, and even some men nowadays, because they are raising their children because the mothers is lost in translation.
Do you think the welfare system has changed for the better since you were in this system?
I think today, yes, it is changing for the better because they are recognizing a need. They are recognizing women's dreams when women are talking and sharing with their case managers the things that they would be able to do if they had the extra help as far as daycare and on-the-job training and schooling, like grants to move them forward. And so yes, it has really changed, and it's changing for the better because they realize that it did more harm than good. Anytime you can take food stamps and buy alcohol and pot and tobacco, something was wrong with that system. So yes, it's changing for the better. And the governor, the bureaucracy, the brewers are waking up and seeing. But it takes a woman to realize this stuff and see this stuff. Men don't see it, women see it. The system is better for families because they are allowing the head of the household, mostly women, because the men are incarcerated, to better themselves. So they are giving them these opportunities, and it's more people becoming entrepreneurs. They're having their own ideas, and people are really supporting them. And this is giving these women where you don't have to feel so ashamed because you collect a darn check. I mean, that is just stereotyping, but it's still, it just does something to a woman's esteem when she has to sit and collect a check and don't do nothing else. So yes, the incentive, we're going to help you better yourself. You can come from welfare to Section 8 to home ownership to business ownership. So yes, it is helping. It's a hands up and not a hands down.
What do you think could make this system even better for families now?
Sheila, what would make the system better for the families now is the continuation of education and also on-the-job training, and you have to put in there like other sources like parenting classes, uh, and housing, and the opportunity to become home ownership. You have to put that in there. So to making this better is also allowing these women to continue with treatment, because most of these women will need treatment. And what I'm talking about substance abuse as well as mental health. I'm talking about group counseling, but then feeding into the woman's spirit all the good that she can have and what she can become if the doors or the windows open to her. So the resources that's available, but having systems in place to help her access these resources, to tap into those sources.
Rosalyn, drug and alcohol treatment as well as rehabilitation programs were marginal for you at best. What do you think happened while you were involved with these programs that caused you to fail?
What caused me to fail is because there was no accountability. And I mean, it's not science. It was no accountability. So as long as I could manipulate and lie, it was okay. But that was, over 20 years ago? And so now, people being accountable. And we all have a part. So the client, should I say, the woman that's seeking the treatment, and if she has a person sitting across the desk from her that actually seeing the motivation for change and she's wanting to change, yes, that would be huge. That would really be huge. Plus it boosts the esteem and the self-confidence of a woman.
Rosalyn, what needs to be in place for an addict and or alcoholic to survive when they leave one of these programs?
Well, it has to be the support system. And what I mean by the support system, they got to participate in 12-step programs, or they have to have a good, I'm not going to say religion program, but they have to have a good relationship with the God, and it's to be moving forward and knowing that all of this is available, but you have your part, because the case manager or the agency can't do everything. We can only take you so far, but soon you're going to have to be able to, grab hold and just tighten up your bootstraps and move on. But knowing that this system is in place, knowing that the resources are available, knowing that you always can open your mouth, and that's another thing. It doesn't stop because you graduate a program. It continues. You have to continue letting us know what it is that you need, and then we do some brainstorming to make it happen.
Rosalyn, now I'd like you to tell us your experience in the penal system.
God, that's been 30 years ago? Longer than that. I know one thing, it was enough that at one time I was not going back. I know that. And I also know that it was just, when you have room to think and you can just say, okay, how do I not come back here? Because a lot of times, a lot of people are repeated offenders. Of course, I got some stuff in my past, but it did not take me down south. And in Colorado, prior to these small little prisons on the side, I went south back in 87, 88, I should say. It was in 88. And so, and then it was the program that came to visit, that got me started, gave me the chance or the opportunity to want to better myself. And that's the only good thing about the penal institution, is how they allowed women, if you qualify for these programs, that you can better yourself, become a better person, and not a repeated offender.
What was it like in there?
Girl, if I hear you got to ask that question, that means you really don't know. I mean, being surrounded with women and being like caged animals, and the only difference between then and now, then you could wear your own clothes, and but the bottom line is that you had to march and you had to get up and you had to work, and it was just so weird because I had never been around so many women at one time, and it just was different. I just felt so out of place is what it was. But again, you got your bad people and then you got your good people, because even somebody somewhere was paying attention because they saw a need, and it was this little person, one person that visited that jail, that prison, not a jail, it was a prison. And then she just saw a need for the women felons. So that was my out, and I have not returned.
The penal system led you to a program called the Empowerment Program. What is this?
The Empowerment Program is a program. Then it was a program for women felons, but now it's a program for any woman that is down on her luck, that's been marginalized. But they came and they interviewed me. And then they had offered, they didn't have housing then, but they did have on-the-job training. They would offer a GED and a job, help you find a job. Because that's another thing, if you have restitution to pay, you go to the halfway house, you have to work and you have to pay your restitution. And then they offered classes. But that was really cool, for a program like that to exist in Colorado. And I'm proudly to say that, I worked for that program. And right today, that program is almost 40 years old. So it was a good program. And it's still going strong.
Rosalyn, what type of systems need to be in place for one to work hard to improve one's self in prison?
To work hard to improve oneself in prison? I mean, the bottom line, you got to get honest with yourself in prison. You got to let go of the selfishness once once you in prison. Because do you know how many people you affect while you locked up? Do you know the impact? And especially if you have children. So the mother has to stop the blaming and look at her part as why she were there. These women, these girls, they get chance after chance after chance. Sometimes prison is the last door. They have a saying in a 12-step program, this is the last house on the block. But sometimes it takes that in order to get your attention, but you don't have to carry it that far, If you listen, we have a good criminal justice system. Sometimes we do. And if you connect it with the right person instead of the one to want to police you, you can really do good.
Rosalyn, you say at the end of this chapter that, and I quote, people need help, compassion, and real life skills and tools to survive this cold, harsh world. Building self-esteem, providing education, and a genuine home are essential aspects of providing new beginnings to those who don't know how to live in a world without addictive substances. Passing judgment and not holding people accountable for life choices perpetuates the broken lives of people. Rosalyn, have you survived this cold, harsh world?
Yes, I have. I really have, because I had to have lived it in order to talk about it today. And it's doable because I know that I was a runner, and I know that I had nowhere to go. And I also know that when I say nowhere to go, because I didn't trust people, and then my environment is, you can't beat them, you join them. But there is a lot of good that exists in this world today, but you have to be open and you have to be willing to reach out for it, because it's not going to come to you. And so a lot of stuff we have to do as far as the confidence and the esteem, you have to recognize that you are worthy of change. You are a woman, especially a woman with children. You have to recognize this, and you cannot use excuses or substances to blame you for what happened to you. Because I'm going to tell you, What happened to you happened by you. You know, no one ever poured booze or drugs down my throat. I did it because it was my choice. And so today, no one told me to ignore my children. I did it because of selfishness and fear. But when you have this relationship, when you start to build a relationship with God and you know that He loves you, and that He only wants better for you, regardless of what the systems have said, regardless of what family has said. This is something that you have to seek yourself. You will find that inner strength. Because I found it, that I have to do better. Because I know this world is ugly when you want to be ugly. But we are here to change the world. And we can, because we are beautiful women. We are beautiful daughters of God. And there's only one God.
Rosalyn, do you see this world as cold and harsh anymore?
No, no, because it was only when I was wanting something for people was it cold and hard. Today, God supplies everything I need, so it's not cold and harsh. Matter of fact, I see more good, because we are all beautiful flowers, whether you man or a woman. We are children of a most high God, and He made us in His image, and God is not ugly. Very beautiful. Like colors, and flowers. As far as flowers. Woo! Let me just not go there anymore, but yes. Yes.
All right. Well, Rosalyn, I want to thank you. Our questions are done for Chapter 7, Systems, Broken Systems. Thank you again for sharing with us your thoughts and perspectives and your experience on these systems you were a part of.
Thank you, Sheila. And I hope it was worth your time. It was worth mine.